At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony C.A., and welcome to another edition of our program here, Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. In today's edition of our program, we are looking at issue on or off the radar for election 2023. In other words, what should we be talking about now that we are in an election here and the people of Liberia will have to decide who to elect as president, representatives, and senators in our country? What should we be talking about? This is election year. What should be the issues that we should be talking about as a people and as a country to show that we are in an election year and it is a serious business? What are the things people talking about now that they should not be talking about? And what are the things that people should be concerned about? And what are the issues that they should be looking at to make that decision? Welcome. I have in studio with me veteran Liberian journalist, Mr. Raymond Oliver Hoggard, who is co-hosting. He is joining me from our Minneapolis studio here. Mr. Hoggard, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. It's great to be in your company.
All right. And to make this all possible, we have a 2023 presidential aspirant. Benjamin Kofa Fanier is here with his cup there. Ben, it's good to see you as always. Welcome.
Well, I want to say, Anthony, thank you. Like I always say, I'm always happy to be here. Your shows are very informative. They are intellectually engaging. And I am very happy to discuss anything and everything Liberia. So I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good night to every Liberian hearing the sound of my voice. It is good, especially so in this year, this is an election year, that Liberians go to the polls informed. It is the best thing for voters to make what they call informed decision. And this year should literally be a year of what I call, comparative analysis. That is, Liberians should look at the different programs from different individual or parties and choose the best option. You know, this should not be a year of fun and games where we want to pull crowd, we want to do this, because the lives of 5.1 million people are at stake. So I'm happy to be here tonight, and I look forward to a very vibrant and interactive dialogue with everyone who will join us. So I'm very happy, and thank you for inviting me.
Ben, thank you. It's always good to have you here. I'll focus on Liberia, discussing the issues that matter, and if there are issues that matter right now, it should be election issue, because this year is a serious year. We have to decide where we go from here. and that is the decision the nation faces, and people should be involved and should be paying attention to the things that matter, that they will base their decision on to decide whether or not we go forward. So, talking about that, gentlemen, we will be looking at the things that are on the radar right now. Maybe that should not be, and that things that should be on the radar that are not. And those are the things we want to talk about. We want to look at what are the things on the radar of political parties. What are the issues that concern them now? Political leaders and their supporters. What are they talking about that they should not be talking about? What are they not talking about that they should be talking about in this election year? We will also look at the voters. What are the voters' expectations? What do they expect to hear? What involvement should we expect from them? What should they be demanding for candidates? People asking for their votes in order to have a successful election. And at the end of it, all we want to know, what are the realities? We might have the expectation. They might want to talk about this and not talk about this, but what is the reality? What actually works? These are the things we want to talk about. So it's good to be here, folks, in cyberspace. If you have just joining us, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. Let's get the ball rolling. Mr. Hugger, you're listening to the topic. What's your take? Is there a topic that is pointed at this time in this election year that people should be paying attention to quickly here?
Oh, surely, Anthony. I mean, Liberians need to be more involved and concerned about the upcoming elections in October of this year. Who they're going to vote for, who they think can produce, or who they think can better their lives and and that of our country. They need to be able to look carefully, because I always say that the electorates are the employers, and those who are running for office are employees. They are people who are seeking jobs. So the electorate should be able to properly scrutinize and look at these individuals and all that they stand for and what they can present as a leader. So it is incumbent upon the Liberian people, the electorates, to be able to delve into everything of these individuals who want to be leading our country. So it's very apt and appropriate that we can now discuss the ups, what we expect during this election year.
Thank you. And you couldn't have put it so right. Ben, get us started here. This is election year, my friend. Are you hearing things that political leaders, political parties, and their supporters should be talking about? Things that are in the interest of voters, things that will move the country forward. What are you hearing from them? Are you hearing from them the things that need to be talked about in this election year, or are you hearing the opposite? What are you hearing?
Well, the first thing I want to tell Liberians, I will repeat this throughout the show tonight. The contest for votes must take place in what I call a marketplace of ideas.
Okay.
I would say it's unfortunate. We have what we call an incumbent, that is the CDC-led administration. Then we have opposition. They are in what you call a contest for political power. CDC has a responsibility, number one. You asked me based on what I'm hearing. So for this almost 6 years, to be showcasing its achievement, Liberia is being ruled under what you call the Propo Agenda for Development and Prosperity. The Propo Agenda has 4 major planks. The CDC now, in its bid for re-election, should be telling Liberians, we designed this Propo Agenda. These and these and these and these have been our achievements. These and these and these and these and these have been our pitfalls. We have adjusted our strategies here, but there is no framework. There's no measurement in terms of accomplishment. So there's nothing. Then you look at the opposition fighting to replace what is there. The opposition too, I'm hearing nothing. All I'm hearing from them is drama. I will tell you this. I always tell everybody this. What happens if George Weah leaves? What happens to Liberia? I want to see a sufficient and a competent blueprint. There should be a roadmap. You see, plans are good because what happens if there is a change in leadership? The plans can still be executed. But if we have no framework, no diagram, no layout, anybody can come and start to change, direction radically. So just to answer what you just said, I am not hearing anything. I think I'm the only one who goes on program after program, you know, letting Liberians know in terms of what I plan to do, what I plan to do in terms of youth unemployment, what I plan to do in terms of agriculture, what I plan to do in terms of health. Let me just end on health. I will tell you this, according to the World Health Organization, Liberia now has only 298 doctors. 298 doctors for 5.1 million people. That is 15,000 people to one doctor. So literally you will die before you see the doctor. What is the comprehensive plan from the CDC in terms of improving our health sector? And those who are contesting for power, what are their blueprints in terms of addressing these critical issues? So I am not hearing anything, and I thank you for this show because we want to use this show also as a launch pad to get sufficient Liberians involved in terms of this year. Let's discuss the issues. Let's look at how we can solve problems so that when people go to the polls, they will vote for someone who they believe can really transform their life as opposed to someone who can pull crowd. Thank you.
And Ben, before Mr. Hogarth can come in here, you are saying you are the only, I'm emphasizing that word only. You are the only one going from one platform to the other and talking about what you would do. Is that true? No other person with interest in these elections talking about what they would do besides you? Is that accurate?
Let me tell you what I mean by that. You see, don't come on the show and give headlines. You see, when you come on the show, you give your blueprint, then you give them the mechanism, the how. Let me just give you one. One of the most important thing I want to do in Liberia is to ensure that we have what I call a competent address system. Competent. Every building in Liberia will be numbered. We need to competent address. Number two, I want to register every Liberian. That means everybody will be distinguishable in terms of a social security number. Let me tell you how those two things, that would be an economic boost. Number one, I have to know you before I can tax you. There are houses in Liberia, government of Liberia don't even know exist. Those people will be able to pay real estate taxes. They can add to the government coffers. Those things we have to put in place.
Thank you. And Mr. Hogarth, you have been in this business of media. You follow elections. I believe you cover elections. You follow the politicians. Has it been this way even in election year? Do you really there been a time in your work as a journalist where have you seen politicians, political parties engaging in substantive discussion on the issues? Or this is just the normal?
Anthony, to be frank, I listened to Ben, but all political parties, and he even mentioned about the CDC with the PAPD platform. All of them come with these political platforms. They have objectives that they want to achieve. They have programs that they want to implement when they take power. But presenting these objectives and plans, their blueprints, is one thing. Implementing is another thing. So, from my experience, I know that all of these parties come with their platforms and their objectives, but when it comes to implementation, it's something that is left wanting, and you can even follow up from the PAPD of the Congress for Democratic Change. They promise to provide jobs. For the young people. They promise to improve agriculture for our country. We feed ourselves. They said that Liberians will not be spectators in their own economy again. But you see that all is wanting, and they've miserably failed So politicians always come up with these ideas, but when they take power or when they get in office to implement, it's a different thing. Now I listen to Ben talking about uh, street address system, and I remember from the past government, the Ellen Sirleaf administration, the late former Minister of Post and Telecoms, Dr. Frederick Noke,
Mhm.
tried to implement such a program in Liberia, the numbering of houses, so that the mailing system could be more effective. But I can tell you, Anthony, in hindsight, that program miserably failed. It miserably failed. So I don't know how Ben intends to do his, but we'll listen to him.
And Mr. Hogger, I agree with you 100% that implementation has been the biggest problem whenever any of these politicians, get elected. But you also said they always have their party manifesto that they call plans. My question is, have you seen them to have gone extra mile in explaining the plan and making the people to know this is what I would do? Have they done that enough? Or is it that maybe the thing that people don't care, doesn't matter? What has been your observation?
No, Anthony, most political parties or their leaders, when election is coming around,
Mhm.
they're out there. They have their publicity team, their media team. They will go out on various radio and talk shows and television to explain what they will do when they get into office. Uh, some of them are wanting on it. Some of them, I know they passed elections when political party leaders were going for debate. I know incumbent president now decided that he wouldn't do any debate. So nobody listened to him explaining anything that he wanted to implement in his government. No policies came out because he refused to go to a debate where he would be questioned by journalists who were the panel that was set up, or debate with his counterparts, those who were running also. So, but most times you find out definitely yes, they will go out there, explain the policies, explain their objectives, how they want to achieve it. But like I said, implementation is a ghastly thing.
Thank you, and Ben, let's get to it now.
Yeah.
Our topic here is the issue on and off the radar for elections 2023. In other words, why should we be talking about? Let's start with the political parties. What do you think, Ben, they are not talking about now that they should be talking about? What are those things they should be telling?
Yes. Yeah, just before I go on, let me just react to one thing Mr. Raymond said. You see, that's why this show is good. That's why I like this show tonight. Mr. Raymond said the parties usually showcase their agenda, and he mentioned, providing jobs. You see, when you have a blueprint, you seek what you call public engagement. The public engagement will lead to people asking, how are you going to do this? What are your mechanisms? And you see, when you explain it, rational people will say, well, this is achievable or this is not. But you see, most of what is lacking, that's what we're experiencing now. There is not sufficient public engagement. So the blueprint, the actual framework upon which those programs are based are not known. So that's why this show is important. But let me just go to what Anthony said. Anthony, the first thing I want to talk about on this show, and it is critical in Liberia. Last year, government of Liberia, through fanfare, gave out $11 million as rice subsidies. $11 million. Close to the end of the year, the government of Liberia, after they gave out subsidy, they increased the price of rice. So this year, the government even suspend import tariffs. Let me tell you what that will lead to. These are the things we're talking about here. It shows that the
then we'll get to the economics issue, right?
I'm coming to your plan.
Now.
Yes, the first thing is agricultural plan. Because for Liberia to be effectively transformed, we need a comprehensive agricultural plan. Let me tell you why. We have two of the critical instruments that we need in terms of agriculture. We have the availability of arable land, and we have the availability of sufficient
then
young
you are
people.
going to the economic issue.
No.
I am saying,
Yes.
from political parties' perspective, political
Yes.
leaders and their
Yes.
supporters,
Yes.
tell me what they should be talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
Now.
They should be talking about agriculture.
Mhm.
They should be talking about youth unemployment. They should be talking about healthcare, and they should be talking about security. Those are the four critical issues. Other issues are there, but those are the four critical issues that are confronting Liberia. Then those issues, they should be providing solutions. I'm talking about achievable solutions, realistic solutions to those problems. That's what the public engagement should be. That's what the contest of ideas should be. That's what I'm not hearing from them.
And instead of them doing that,
Yes.
what are they doing now that you may disagree with?
Well, what I see now is just they are making noise. They're just making noise. Waka come to America, or, $70,000 laws, or Joe, we are go to in church, or the person get crowd. No. We have people that are facing serious issues that need to be addressed. So we must talk about the critical issue affecting our people. Agriculture for me is number one, because that is our route out of poverty in Liberia.
And the things they would rather us talk about, are they intentional? Is it purposeful that they're doing it this way? And what is their reason for wanting us to talk about, maybe, for example, this person has more crowd, maybe 75,000, as you mentioned, as opposed to, well, this is my agricultural plan, and this is how I'll transform education. Why do you think they are doing this?
They are doing that because they lack they lack plan. They lack realistic programs. They lack realistic roadmap. They don't have it. As I speak to you now, I know some people in the ANC. They are telling me they are still writing their policy. The ANC contested the last election. There things have changed in Liberia. So where is the blueprint? There's nothing. So you see, in the absence of that, noise, we tire suffering. In the absence of that, you just make noise. So you don't tell the people what they're going to do. You only say, oh, we are corrupt. No, we have to create a counter narrative to which George Weah cannot compete. We have to control the debate by providing solutions to the problem the people are facing. But they are making noise. They are not doing it.
And Mr. Haggard, drawing from your experience here, are the politicians and political parties doing these kind of things on purpose because maybe that's what the voters want to hear, or is that what appeal or resonate with the supporter, that they are throwing jabs, maybe elevating the negative on the other side? Is that something the voters have appetite for, as opposed to their plans and how they will change their life? Is that the reason why they've done it this way over and over?
Well, Anthony, unfortunately, I'll say that the electorate sometimes, people who go to vote, sometimes these are things that would appeal to them. Like Ben is saying, the substantives, the ingredients of, checking out why these people want to take power, and when they do, whether they will be able to implement, or whether they will present any political objectives or platforms that will be able to follow. I tell you, sorrowfully, most times our people don't follow those things. They're only waiting to go on election day and vote, perhaps for the person who can pull the crowd, like you said. And sometimes who people go around even to demean our people. I will give you a bag of rice and you can vote for me, or I give you T-shirts, or maybe we can get everybody $10 this day, go and vote. Sometimes these are the things that, hamper our development as a nation, the consciousness of the electorates.
And Mr. Hoggard, the political leaders and parties, because a good number of voters are loyal to them, they are relying on them. to change the country. They are the vehicle to, change in power, even though I know the people have to decide at the end of the day, but they have to decide on somebody, to get what they want. So the question here is, do you think the political leaders have it in them to change their way of doing political business? Well, we'll print t-shirts, we'll come to the party headquarters, we'll talk about this person negative. I mean, the people will take it anyway. Who has the problem here, the people or the political parties?
I think that the problem is in both. You know, our political leaders, most of them, they behave in that manner. They only want to be out and see the crowd behind them, or they want to give the people a bag of rice or a few dollars to say, go and vote for me. I will do this when I'm there. And the people themselves, being gullible and vulnerable, they will follow such trends. So sometimes, poverty is very high in our country. And I tell you, Anthony, when I was there in my own neighborhood, uh, sometimes you engage people, you're discussing about upcoming elections, and they will tell you, say, we really want our country to change. We really want to see development brought into our country. And they'll be comparing, neighboring countries. Go to Ghana, for instance, you see the people there improving. Or you go to Guinea, or you go to Sierra Leone, and they will engage in those kind of conversations with you. But when it comes to elections, proper elections on election day, you see them. Sometimes I tell you, somebody will be wearing, one person may be wearing about 2 or 3 different party t-shirts, and just going from one place to the other, collect what they can collect. If it's $10, give me on this side, or $25, give me on the other side, or a bag of rice, and they come back and be happy and tell you, say, my man, today, partisan candidate X gave divided rights over there. I got my share, and look, maybe I will vote for that person. And then, sadly, that's how it goes.
Interesting. And Ben, you are a political actor. I don't think this culture of doing political business that they, especially during election year, I don't think it has helped us. How do we change that? And we
Yes.
should take the first step.
Yes, you see, what you just did, what you asked, it relate to what Mr. Ramos said. Let me just go to what he said first. He said the problems are in both. I will respectfully disagree. You see, most society, human society runs on what you call hierarchy. In every country, less than 1% of the population, less than 1%, they rule the entire country. That's why those who are in leadership, it is almost mandatory that they have integrity, and they be selfless, and they be competent. Society, just our homes, all of us on the show, we exercise leadership role in our homes. That's how that's how the larger society is. So the leaders, not the people, the leaders are the one who should set the tone. They should have integrity. They should be selfless. Their goal should be the improvement of the lives of the people. You see, and one of the major things they can do is by educating the people, by giving the people realistic expectations. But just like what you said, if the leader come to you and give you t-shirt, give you rice, what is that leader saying? That leader is not interested. He's literally buying the votes. Let me tell you how we can change it. We can change it by first holding ourselves accountable as leaders. We should say, no, we have to do the right thing. We have a responsibility to do the right thing. We must do the right thing, because that's the only way the country will change. So most of the burden here is on the leadership. It's not on the people. I don't want anybody to say that, because the people will be led no matter who it is, whether that Dillon, whether that Costa, you will see people behind them. The leader must have integrity. The leader must be competent. The leader must have vision. If those things are absent, you have chaos. So I put this blame squarely on the leadership. And to change it, those in leadership should challenge each other. They should hold each other accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. The program you are watching is the Hour of Politics. We are discussing the topic, issue on or off the radar for elections 2023. In other words, what should we be talking about now that we are in an election year and we have to elect a new government? What
And
are the
Sonny,
things we should be talking about? And what are the things we should not be talking about that are going to help us to make that transition? So if you are just joining us, you write your comment. We'll come to the comment section. We'll open the phone lines later on. Mr. Hubble, if you want to ask a question, you can come in, or if you want to make a comment, go ahead. I want us to look at the economics, the social, and policy issues. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what Ben just stated. He said he respectfully disagreed that it was not the people, and he blames it on the leadership. But this is what I was saying, Ben. I mean, you basically place the blame on the people who are ascribing for power, for leadership. But if you have such people, Ben, what do you expect of the people who will go to vote for them? If they are like that, they're not projecting anything, they're not encouraging people, they're not selling their programs, their policies out to the people, they're not explaining fully to them, and they're just coming up with a big show, with a big bribe. Oh, let's get the crowd and come in, we can give you something, or go afterwards, we can devise some cool water and whatnot. So what would you expect from the people if you have such leaders or such people who are, aiming for leadership, projecting themselves in that manner? Definitely you have the people who are vulnerable and gullible to be following such people, following such trend. And we shouldn't be. And I agree with you, I agree with you that people aspiring or looking for leadership should be able to explain fully to people, to conscientize people as to what they are able to do when they get into office, so that they encourage people, to follow them. But most times you find people who are seeking leadership, they don't engage in that. You hardly see now. I see elections are coming. There are one or two candidates I see going into the hinterland, trying to explain to people why they should vote for them and put them in office, and why they think certain things need to be changed. And if they are given the leadership, they will try to change such things. But the majority of our people, they sit down, perhaps depend on the media team, or go and tell the people I'll be able to do this or that. And they just don't want to engage with the people.
I think what I'm hearing from the both of you is this is a shared responsibility. Both the people and the leaders need to own up to this, right? Because the leaders, like Ben said, they can set the tone. The people too need to know that they have been collecting this bag of rice, they've been wearing these t-shirts, and their lives have not changed at all. So there got to be a better way to demand better, for they deserve better, and to have to be going for the usual t-shirt, the usual $10, the cold water, and then going to the crowd when the crowd actually means nothing for your survival. It's just a euphoria on just one day. So it's a shared responsibility, and I couldn't agree with you. But Ben emphasis is on, if the leader says, because this is what I noticed in during the election of Darius Dillon, the guy went around, he said, I don't have money to give anybody. And we saw that the very people who were expect from the candidates were now contributing money, were now printing t-shirts. And we saw that even in George Weah case, even though it might be a different scenario, they have loved him. So they said, well, we're going to. So we see that even the people have that ability in them to do the right thing, just as the leaders also do. And I think it's a shared responsibility. Ben, you agree?
Yes, I do agree, but I think greater share of the responsibility falls on the leadership. Greater share.
All right. I agree. And then with that, let me progress here. So in election year is the time for us to raise the economic issues. The economic issues that are out of strangulating the country economically. What are our options? What are the solutions? What are the policies? What are the programs? The issue of prices in the country, right? It's a poor country, few people working in processing the roof. So then when we expect now the politicians who vying for the office to say, look, this is what I will do when it comes to the price of rice. This is what I will do when it comes to gasoline and so on and so forth. That they should be talking. And so let's talk about why should they be talking when it comes to economic issues? Why should they be talking about when it comes to social issues? Which of the economic issues and social issues they should be hammering that will lead to progress? Which are the policy issues they should be elevating and highlighting? When touched, will be like a catalyst to move forward. Why are those things, Ben? You are the politician here, you're running for office. Why will you be telling people now?
Yeah. My first, the top two on my list. The first is agriculture. The second is healthcare. Let me tell you why those two things are important. Last year, I don't know if you guys know this, but Liberia is one of the highest, if you compare it to other states in the world, importer of rice. We import almost 80% of the rice that we eat. Last year, we imported almost 360,000 metric tons. You're talking about almost $400 million. What is stopping us from starting a Liberian rice company solely geared towards planting, harvesting, storing, distribution, and sale of rice to Liberia?
And who should start it?
No,
who should start that complaint? The
government. The government. Yes, from starting that company. Let me tell you what. We have special agencies in Liberia. We have LPRC, we have LEC, even we have NOCAL. So I think for me, one of my major things I would stress is the establishment of what I call the Liberian Rice Company, solely geared toward, like I said, production of rice, harvesting, storage, distribution, as well as sales. Let me tell you why that thing will thrive. And I don't want, it would not be somebody going with the Chapia. No, it will be mostly mechanized farming. Look at the money that we spent on rice. Look at what George Weah did right now. He removed the subsidies on rice, and I'm telling you, it's going to affect the national budget because that's where we get most of our taxes. So if we invest in our own rice production, we can feed our people. We can grow sufficient rice where we can even start exporting. But let me tell you how that will help, because most of our young people in the streets, we have jobs to do. That's number one. Number two, this is also very important. I will institute a national health care plan for Liberians. Can you imagine, my brother? The government of Liberia have no health care plan for the citizens. We just witnessed it right now. Joe Barker was sick. He got on a plane and came to America. What happened to Manjwa and her children when they are sick? What happened to them? So you must design a healthcare. I will tell you this, we will invest in our healthcare plan so that when Joe Barker is sick, Joe Barker will go to JFK. You don't need to get on the plane.
Yeah,
we will design, a sufficient plan whereby our hospital will be functional and our citizens will have identity card where they can go to the hospital, access the hospital, and be subsidized by the government. But let me tell you the saddest part about it, your lawmakers have $10,000 annually as health care benefit. These people who were elected to change the lives of their people, they have health care plan. The entire nation don't have it. So those are the two top areas that we can push in, and it can literally push the economy forward. Because for somebody to do anything, he must be alive, he must be healthy.
The healthcare thing is serious. I think government officials have been the fortunate ones here. When they should be serving the people, when it comes to healthcare, they are like more about themselves, serving themselves. There's an SOS call right now out there for Professor Jones Dopo. All right, we all know him, popular Liberian who has been a professor at University of Liberia. He's sick. His family, they can't get the money in this, an SOS call. And no one's going to volunteer to fly him out of the country. But if he were, say, a vice president or a minister, he would be out of the country by now. It's all good.
But Anthony, I haven't in my lifetime seen or heard any political aspirant or anybody who wants to be president in Liberia who hasn't talked about agriculture or who hasn't talked about creating a better healthcare system. So let me ask Ben, if I may, what perhaps what would be your plan, maybe in your first month in office, uh, to improve health care for the Liberian people?
You know, one of the things about healthcare is what you call affordability and access. I will tell you this: in Liberia, look at your national budget. Legislature, I think they get almost $280 million. I will tell you this: I will set aside $100 million first as a pilot, what I would call a national health insurance plan for every Liberian. Let me tell you how that money will be used. That money will be used on four things.
Where are you getting the money from first?
What are you saying? We have the money now. Last year we had 800 million. I will reduce the legislature budget. I'll reduce the budget.
Single-handedly?
I will reduce it. Trust me.
Single-handedly?
I'm telling you, I will reduce it. Let me tell you this. Maybe I think you know this based on your life experience. Presidents have access to something they call executive orders.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have, these are 103 people as compared to 5.1 million people. No, I will reduce it. But let me tell you this: we will take out 100 million. Number one, the acquisition of drugs, the expansion of hospitals. That's number two. The third one, to bring doctors from outside to transfer knowledge to Liberians. Cuba will be our first stop. We will bring Cuban trained doctors to come to Liberia, be resident in Liberia, help building the capacity of local doctors. That will be the third one. The fourth one will be investing in ambulance. I tell you this, my brother, I was born in West Point. What happens if you have a heart attack in West Point? If you have a heart attack in West Point, you're literally dead. The ambulance can't even reach you. You see, those are all the framework. You see, when you are a leader, you have to put things in place that your people will benefit. Your people, not you. The leadership role is literally sacrificial. You know, it's only in Africa I see people go to lead people with the expectation of getting rich. Look at all the lawmakers in Liberia. Most of them were poor. After 6 years, they are all rich. It shouldn't be that way. The leader is a servant. The leader is somebody invested in his people. So that will be the first thing I will do in terms of healthcare. Next, next, we will do what we call our National Rice Company. Again, another $100 million. Let me tell you where I will take that money from. George Weah, now as we speak, George Weah have $700,000 for humanitarian initiative. God knows what that is. George Weah has another $700,000 for something else. That's 1.4 million. George, just his office. All those are what you call waste and abuse. The money is being literally used by a few individuals to even just literally just transform their personal lives as compared to the budget is not for it's not for the officials of the government to gain from. The budget is for the people to improve the country socially and economically. So we will take that money and start a pilot project again called the National Rice Company. Number one, we will look for expert outside Liberia, maybe 12 of them, bringing them into Liberia. The sole goal is the planting of rice. Bring them into Liberia, establish an office, work with local Liberians, and get heavily involved in planting of rice. I mean, look at our country. Why are we importing rice? We have that kind of big country over there. Why?
But Ben, if I may come in,
go ahead.
You see, our country, the way it's run, we have the executive and the legislature and the judiciary. Now, listening to you, perhaps your plans will be carried out. Maybe you will have the legislature will all be partisans from your party. Because if you have different political parties and you have different politicians in the House, because that's what's happening in our country now. You see, the majority of the people in Parliament, the House of Representatives, majority of them come from the ruling party. And
no, they come from the UP. They come from the Unity Party. Majority.
The Unity Party?
Yes.
The House of Representatives in Liberia.
The majority. I'm telling you, check it out.
Well, that you need to check that again, man.
No, you need to check it. I'm telling you.
As an example. Now,
yes.
if you have a House of Representatives
Yes.
where maybe there are 63 or 73 legislators in the House.
Yes.
And from your party, you have 15 members from your party. And the
Yes.
rest of the 73 come from other political parties. You
Yes.
think that would be practical? What do you say? That you would take $100 million just like that from their budget and go and can that
Let
work?
me give you your answer. Let me give you the answer. Let me give you the answer. You see what you are telling me? You are literally telling me that 103 individuals are more important than 5.1 million people. That defies reasons.
No, I'm not saying that.
No,
This is
that's
what
what
they
I'm telling
do.
you. Because what I'm saying, what I will be doing will be in the interest of Liberians. Will be in the interest of Liberians. These are 103 people. They are suffocating the country. The money should be used to advance the nation, not
Who
a
have
few
the power to
individuals.
appropriate?
That's what I'm telling you. I told you, president have right to executive order. I think you know about that. Those will be executive orders. They have to be carried out because in the interest of the people. My brother, can you believe what I'm telling you? I know a friend. His wife gave birth. JFK, one of the happiest time of your life. That's what he told me. JFK literally seized the woman. The woman gave birth, one of the most joyous times because the woman couldn't pay the bill. I mean,
Oh,
how
yeah.
is that normal? How do we accept this kind of thing to happen in our country? We shouldn't do
Thank you.
that. That's why the government should subsidize this kind of thing. That woman should go there, she should get the best care, and she should be able to go home. That's the most happiest time of her life. But we have 103 people suffocating the budget while the rest of our people suffer. We shouldn't even be arguing about that. Because it is a wrong practice. We can't continue to do the wrong thing and say this is how it's done. A leader has to take critical decisions. You have to be firm. Because it's not about me. It's not about you, my brother. Look at Liberia. Look at West Point. Look how people live. Look at the people live. It is
Ben,
deplorable. It is deplorable, and we have to do something about it.
yeah, Ben, I don't know what happened to your voice there. It's a little choppy there. If you are on your phone, maybe you can leave and come back. I don't know if somebody tried to call you. Folks,
Somebody's trying to call me. I don't know why.
Yeah, just leave and come back. It will correct that.
Right.
So that the people will be able to hear you very well. And if you are just joining us, we want to say welcome and welcome to the broadcast. And I'm Sonnen Sie, along with Mr. Raymond Oliver Hogger, who is co-hosting today. And we are discussing the topic, issue on the radar and issue off the radar for election 2023. In other words, what should we be talking about now? Now that we are in an election year, the things that people will be basing their decision on that we should be talking about. And instead of that, what are they talking about? Well, maybe many of you know, fries and G's. Somebody will say, to join the discussion, 605-313-6004, enter the code 791-403 pound, and then you will be part of the discussion. The phone number is also posted on Facebook there, and so you can go there and pick it up, and then you can join the discussion. Ben, I think you should be fine there now. Yeah, I think you should be fine there now. Let me pull you in your favorite spot here. Let's talk about some policy and justice issues, Ben, and even the economic issue, jobs, unemployment or employment. And then let's throw in a social issue. Let's do this together. Social issue like rape, we have FMG, female FGM, they call it, female genital mutilation. All these social issues are there things you think the voters will care about, whether this person or rape, and we're talking about social crisis in the country as well. So many issues. What are the issues that we should be talking about? Because election time, election year should be the year we focus on the things that we've been crying about and see who has the best plans to change them and who has, who can explain their plans better that will make sense to the people. And a policy issue as well, decentralization and all of that. Quickly.
Yeah. One main thing you talk about that is dear to my heart is, the issue of insecurity. Mm-hmm. Now, the police in Liberia, roughly 4,800 men for a population of 5.1 million people, right, woefully underfunded. Now, listen to this, my brother. The police get lesser money than the EPS. I mean, are we rational? Are we rational making those kind of decision? The police is understaffed, underfunded, and outgunned by criminals. So we have to look at this thing and design competent strategies. The police cannot be, I mean, like underfunded. I mean, as compared to the EPS, it's almost like a joke, because let me tell you why. Senators and other officials, they have private, I mean, security. They are safe. They don't care that the rest of the population is insecure. That has to change. And let me tell you this, that 4,800 men they have, almost 65% of them are assigned to Moserado County. This is the report from the Liberian National Police. What happened to the rest of the country? And just like you said, we are having an election this year. We need maximum security, because election most time it is highly likely that in some instances we have violence. We must have full protection. But you see, look at what we're doing in terms of managing the affairs of the country. It is wrong, and those are the kind of things that any leader will assess and say, no, but this aspect needs to change. This aspect needs to. How can we fund the EPS more than we fund the national police? I mean, how can we do that? It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
And Mr. Auger, I'm sure you have been observing. We hear this thing here, oh, hold the government feet to the fire. You know, our system of governance, democracy is that, okay, when you are in the opposition, you hold the government in power accountable, and, you know, try to checkmate their stewardship, and that they are accountable to the people. That is another way the opposition too can really put the people on their side, because the people are hurting. There are reasons why they are hurting, maybe because of bad governance. But if they are not communicating those things better, chances are that the people might think that, well, maybe all is well here. So, what has your observation been, or is the opposition doing a better job? I mean, have they even started doing a better job with this election year now? Because this is the time they need to show that the guys feel you and we can do better.
Well, Anthony, like I said earlier, you know, the ruling party, I think Ben needs to check his facts again. The ruling party has the largest number of members of the legislature. So even in the Senate, the upper house, the Senate, the ruling party and the independents are more than the opposition. That's why most times you hear Darius Dillon or Senator Steve Zago, or maybe Senator Kanga Lawrence or Choniton Kaipe, few of them, you know, speaking out on issues. But they're always, all issues that they raise are always killed because they are not in majority. The majority of those there are from the ruling party. The same way in the House of Representatives. So that's what somebody was saying. Ben, what all Ben is saying is easier said than done, because if you have a legislature that is fully, I mean, most of the members in the legislature are members from the ruling party. What do you expect to get from the opposition? They will raise issues, of course, yes, genuine issues, but they're always defeated. Don't forget that all the issues they raise will be put on the floor for vote. And when they go to vote, they lost out. You see? And that is a serious problem we have with our leadership, with our government in Liberia. You don't have enough members of the opposition in the legislature. When you go for elections, they will say, oh, for the opposition, and get the opposition crowd behind them and vote them. As soon as they get there, they start to flip. They're going back to the ruling party, or they will tell you, say, I'm independent, but most times they're voting on the side of government. So that's why I would wish if Ben were to be elected, he would have all members of his party, I mean, in the legislature. Then he can push his policies through. He can take that $1 million with any executive order, because they will vote for him to do that. But they can't. The government that we have now, currently, you cannot do that. You cannot. So
Mr. Hogarth, I don't know. I want to side with Ben here. The last time I checked,
uh,
representatives in the House, party by
uh,
party, if you saying what the opposition is like a block and the ruling government is another block, there are more party elected or people who got elected on parties tickets, and most of the parties being in the opposition compared to
but they vote with
this.
the ruling party.
Yeah, but that is a different thing. He said, hey,
Oh,
this person was elected. More people are elected as opposition to the
you
government.
are elected as a UP
Mhm.
candidate,
Yeah,
and then you vote against UP ideas and vote
yeah.
for the ruling parties. So what are you doing there? You
All right.
representing.
Okay. Let leave it there. And Ben, and what I'm saying here is, will things like social issue and maybe we should drill on the voters a little more now. We have callers standing by. What should the voters now be expecting at this time from these people? What should do they have a right to demand any clarity, any explanation? What they should be hoping for to see? Do they have any role during this election year so that they can get a good deal? What can they
Okay.
do?
Yes. I would just want to just stress on the last thing you said before I go through. You see, what Mr. Raymond, uh, uh, what I want to tell him is, most of those elected in Liberia, a significant number of them, they have no integrity. That's what is happening in our legislature happens.
Oh,
They
that's a
have no.
good
No,
point.
what I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the opposition, CDC has the lowest group of lawmakers. But you see, when you have no integrity, you follow what you. That's why you see, as the leader, you need to be decisive. That's why the executive order comes in, because this has to happen. The hospital has to be funded for Liberians to go there. I will not pay, lawmakers that amount. It makes no sense. It has to stop. But let me tell you now, sir. You see, what you just asked me, Anthony, you see, you ask, something good, but I will bring it down to what I call sociology. You see, in our homes, our children, most of the time, they don't even hear us. They see us. They learn by seeing, by observing what we do. You see, Anthony, the voters in Liberia, I give them credit that in the absence of competent leaders, leaders with integrity, the voters are still making correct decisions. Let me tell you something. In 2005, all of those who were elected legislatures, they were sent home in 2011. 95% of them were sent home. The same thing occurred again in 2017. Most of the lawmakers were saying, what I'm telling you, that despite the fact that there is no leadership, the voters are doing what they need to do. For me, a larger responsibility lies on the leadership. They need to set the tone. They need to provide sense of direction from the people. So, just to answer you, the leadership needs to make sure, like you said, they have to go out there and conscientize voters. They have to design programs. As I speak to you, I have a vision plan that I've shared with many Liberians. They are reading it. You see, you have to get people involved. You have to get their buy-in. You have to let them to know that, oh no, this person will not come to me to give me a cup of rice or give me a t-shirt. He wants to put in system that a couple of years down, that my children will gain from. Let me tell you this, what we are doing now today, it's not for me and you, Anthony. It's for our children and their children, future generation of Liberians. I will tell you that the last thing I want to say, a few years from now, maybe I will say 18, 19 years from now, Liberians that will be, that will rise up, they will look at us as one of the worst generation of Liberians. We destroy this country. We have mismanaged this country at every level. Last thing I want to say, whenever you are born, whether you are born in Carrollton, in West Point, in Logantown, you have two key responsibilities: to maintain your community or to improve it. You have no right to destroy your community. And that's what we did to Liberia. We destroy our country. So
Thank you.
until leaders can rise up, we will be where we are. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Mr. Hogarth, anything before we go to the phone line?
Yeah, I want to get to Ben.
Mhm.
My first time meeting you, so I don't even know whether you're running on a party ticket or you're independent. which party ticket are you, or which party are you running with?
I'm an independent actor.
Independent. Now,
Yes.
most times I hear politicians when they're talking about Liberia, they talk about West Point, Sony Wen, Clara Town, these in what we call people call the slum areas. But and that's good. But then listening to you, somebody say I shouldn't say 1 month, I should say 1 year. Listening to you, 1 year in office, your socio-economic plans. How can you? Because I mentioned that you might need all the members of the legislature to be from your party, and you say you will use executive order. But what can Liberian people expect from you as you intend to ascribe for the highest office in our land now? Have you been able to engage the electorates? Are you in that process, or do you think people are fully informed about who Ben Fania is, or do they know Ben Fania? Have you touched the ground, or you sit down in the United States and think that because you were born in West Point, the people of Liberia will vote for you?
Maybe the question is he actually running? Or he just
Yeah.
killing?
You see the thing, sir? No, sir, you see
He
the thing?
says a presidential
No,
aspirant.
Yeah,
no.
I know he says that, but is he actually one?
No, sir, I want to say this. Thank
Yeah.
you. You see, I don't just talk about West Point. I was actually born in West Point.
Oh,
But
no,
let me
no.
tell you this thing.
The
Now,
key
let me
is
tell
my
you this.
area.
You see, every major human endeavor, every major invention, they have always been met with what you call skepticism. That is a normal human reaction. So I welcome that. I welcome the skeptics. I welcome that. You know what that does? That gave me an opportunity to convince Liberians that I can help transform Liberia. I will not do it alone. There are Liberians, capable Liberians, who are just looking out there for leadership. So it is not me and the apprehension. It is a normal human, just like airplane. The first airplane that was built, brother, South Carolina, people died. People were skeptical about it, but the Wright brothers continued, and sufficient people believe in them. They kept modifying until we are flying on airplanes today. So that's a normal human reaction, and I welcome that. I welcome that interaction, because you see, just like you, at least you will say, oh, who is this Ben guy? Let me get to know him. And let me tell you this, nobody should underestimate the power of the internet. Nobody. The Arab Spring was carried on by the internet, by Facebook.
All
so
right, Ben.
we are here. No. Last thing, we are here. We are interacting. I am happy to be here, and I welcome the apprehension, because I will ultimately convince Liberians that together we can secure their future and their children's future.
Through the internet.
He said it through the internet, Arab Spring and all that happened through the internet. So I'm gonna let us go to the phone lines. Folks are waiting. Let's take this one from the man Jimmy in Eastman. Jimmy, let me see if you are live. Yes, you are, Jimmy.
Yes, Anthony. Anthony.
Yeah.
Very good show. I very appreciate it, and as usual, I enjoy listening to Benson, and I got some questions for Mr. Huggard. Ben, I have told you several times you have made several assessments, and what I see missing in your arsenal is you have not gone to Liberia for several years. But yet you claim a leader has to engage the people. You really don't know how the people will receive you, because you have not gone, you have not tested the waters. The way I went to school, they wouldn't even give you a degree until you gone and practice.
Jimmy.
So until you get
Jimmy, I'm sorry I have to do this. The discussion here today is what should we be talking about now? Because I see that this is generating into ambition.
Ben know until he reached there. But this is why my second question is for Huggard. Huggard has made some tangible analysis. Hubbard is not looking at the what could be. He's looking at what do we have and how can we build upon what we have. Mm-hmm. One of the things mentioned, what Hubbard was saying, that these legislators are not seeking our interests. Mm-hmm. And what we have noticed, though, they write one party ticket, and the next thing you know, they are becoming members of the ruling party.
Right.
They cross carpet. Mm-hmm. That is, to me, that's a betrayal. They are betraying us. So what do we do when we have people, we elect them, and then...
But Jimmy, they have the right to associate. They have the right to associate and disassociate, right?
No, there's a contract when you elect somebody, Anthony. Mm-hmm. We elected you because you believe in this. You're part of us, and that's why we elected you. You don't have the right to simply cross carpet like that.
Exactly.
This is a betrayal. It's disloyal. We can't have that going on. We should have the ability to impeach that person immediately. That's not right. That is belly seeking.
But why if the person is doing,
then the next thing you know, they go,
huh? Jimmy, why if the person is doing what they're supposed to do, except that they change their party?
They are not. Okay. They have to seek the interest of the party and the partisans. They don't have to do what they want to do. That is the concept that you hold, and that is a wrong concept. They need to be loyal to the people who elected them, who supported them. Where is the loyalty? When you just cross carpet the next day, you're over there on the other party. We elected you. We spent our money behind you. Then the next thing we know, you're going to the other side? That is a betrayal. It's a complete betrayal. And that was Ben was talking about integrity. So I want to ask Hollard one question. Looking at our terrain and the various things that are going on, what would he think we need to focus on at this point? Because he's looking at the tangibles. He's not looking at the what ifs. He's looking at the tangibles, what we have existing, the kind of parties we have, the kind of the nature of the voting, whether if it's traditional, it's tribalistic, it's whatever. What does he think we should focus on now, given the playing field that we are facing? That's my question.
Mr. Haggard, you want to take that quickly?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jimmy. I think really now what we should focus on, one of the things Ben mentioned earlier, leadership with integrity. When we can find a leader who has integrity, and then the voting population, the electorates, who can be well informed, who will know what they want in their leader, who will stand up and be with the leader, who will support the leader, and who will fight for what is right. We have to, educate our voters. Like I said earlier when we were opening, the voters are the employers of these people who are seeking public office. So we are going to pay them depending on our salaries to get paid. So we need to vet them properly. Those who are voting need to vet these officials properly, those who want to who want to get into office. So you can't go, and employ somebody who will not be able to run your office properly, and you be paying them every month. No, you want somebody who has values, who has integrity. So the voters really need to be conscientized and educated as to the kind of people they will vote for to put into office, and have a leader who will have exceptional qualities and leadership with integrity. Those two things, I think, are very important as we come up to 2023.
And Mr. Haggard, I want you to end your thought on this. Should the voters' responsibility continue beyond electing the person or
Oh
the
yes,
okay?
definitely.
And why should they do then?
Come again?
And why should they do then? This person is elected, the seven, and you get to know they are not serving to your satisfaction. Do they have the responsibility at that point, or they just wait for the next election?
Oh yeah, like Jimmy was saying earlier,
Hmm.
you elect somebody as a representative on
Hmm.
your party ticket,
Hmm.
and they get to the legislature, for instance, in the House of Representatives,
Hmm.
and then they cross carpet to another party. I'm sure our laws, I mean, laws are there in place where those who elected that person or the people from that county can force that person to be evicted from the legislature. Because if we voted for you, for instance, for Maryland County
Hmm.
to represent us on our party ticket, and
Hmm.
you got there, or for instance, you own let me say on CP ticket,
Hmm.
okay, and then you got there and decided to go to UP to be supporting their policies and leaving your own party out. I think there are laws that we can make sure that we remove you.
And I think what you're speaking to, from what I heard, is that the electors have the right to recall the person. That
Yes,
means they can solicit the any X amount of signatures, and when
yes.
they do that, they have to petition the very legislature to boot their fellow lawmaker out on behalf of the
But,
people or
but
based
when
on the
last have we
people's
seen
request.
that in
But,
Liberia?
but, but here's the thing now. If they set that precedent on one of their own, they to know that they are setting a trap for themselves, because when the voters see that it has happened to one person, they're going to be doing it and doing it and doing it, and those guys will not want to do that. So the only option there, let's wait for next election. That is why it has been that way. Uh, then we want to go to the court, but quickly, please.
Yeah, no, actually, I want to reply to Mr. Eastman. Mr. Eastman made my point. A good part of his call was talking about the elected official not seeking our interest. He said not seeking our interest. So how do you mitigate that? How do you correct that? You correct that with executive orders. Because the best thing to do here is to seek the interest of the Liberian people as president, not the interest of 103 people. So the leader should be decisive and enact executive order. Thank you.
Let's go to the phone line. The man F.A. Morris is standing by. Mr. Morris, you are live.
Thank you, Mr. Shear, and hello to Ben, and hello to Mr. Hogarth, and thank you for coming on tonight. I mean, we like to see it focus on Liberia being on Austin,
Okay.
but I just want to say this, and no disrespect to Ben, you know, but I think his ideas are fantastic, phantasmagorical, in that they're doable, but in our current climate, it's unreasonable to think that it can happen. You know, like Mr. Hogarth was saying, you're looking at, the legislature right now as it is. You know, you have the most powerful branch of government right now in our country is the legislature, not the executive. So I put the blame on the legislators and on the constituents who elected those legislators, because we're supposed to be the one who hold them accountable. How do you hold them accountable? They're supposed to have frequent town halls with their constituents and to hear their grievances and to tell their constituents what's on the floor for voting and what's in their interest and things like that. We don't have that. So I think what we should be talking about right now is something that we have in the United States, which is something like a democratic, duopoly, where you have two parties that's pretty much either or, and thereby it's based on ideology. So when you're in the Senate or in the House, you're voting against lower taxes if you're a Republican, or you're perhaps voting for more government interference if you're a Democrat. So like Mr. Hogarth is trying to say, CDC run everything because CDC have more legislators, but that's not true. The reality is the opposition has more legislators, but the reason they're not holding the president's feet to the fire is because one, they're all from most of them are from a lot of them are from different parties, so they don't have the same ideology, so they don't agree on how to go about doing certain things. Whereas if you have just one party on this side and one party on that side, it's us versus them. So that's one of the problems. We have the proliferation of political parties in Liberia has become, untenable. You can't have, 15 different lawmakers from 15 different parties. How are you going to coalesce, and come around one idea to oppose the government spending? So I think we as a people, we have to understand that yes, we gained political, freedom from the Children's Party in 1980, quote unquote, but not because it's politically expedient means it's good for us. We should try to lower the amount of political parties in our country, coalesce around, one or two or three, political ideologies, and thereby most of our legislators will be either from one party or another party, and thereby we can either vote for or against, the ideology of one party or another, which it has its pitfalls, but also it has the power to hold the other party's feet to the fire. And I think what Ben is saying, about running for president and all these ideas. One of the things that even me as a working person, the acquisition of talent and the retention of talent in every facet of society, whether it's in the private sector or in the public sector, is a key part. People who work in government, do they have the integrity? Do they have the talent? Do they have the know-how, the technical expertise, to be able to do a job that the government is paying them to do? That's one of the biggest problems right there. Sure, you have some people who are qualified, who are, adept at their job, but a lot of people are unqualified and very inexperienced, and most of them are corrupt. So having all these good ideas, that's why I say it's phantasmagorical. You have all these great ideas, but it's like a fantasy that will never come to pass because number one, what we depend on most is the people. Our human resources in Liberia is lacking, whether it's from experience or from integrity issues.
Thank you.
So our government right now, and let me just finish on my last point. Our government right now is just constituted. We lack human resource. We lack it, even though we try to boast our people and say, "Oh, we got great people in Liberia," but the percentage of people that we have that are good people compared to the ones that are corrupt and bad and inept far, outweighs the one that are good. So those are some of the things to be talking about. Having qualified people serving in government, not just the senators and representatives, but technocrats, people who can do those, the little jobs, the pushing paper jobs. We need more people who are qualified and have integrity. Thank you so much for the show. Thank you again for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. Always makes me happy to see focus on what you're alive.
Thank you. And what I want to agree with that is that it's like we don't have political ideologies in Liberia. It's kind of hard to tell what CDC believes, what ANC believes, and what all the other party believes. Is it because we have too many of them, or maybe because we're not paying attention? And I know the progressive. You can look at any party and tell what is their economic policy, what is their economic philosophy. How do they intend to grow the economy compared to the Unity Party? It's hard to tell. And he's saying maybe because the parties are too many. Maybe it's not the case, they just don't have it. And he's saying, well, maybe let's try something new and have just 2 or 3 parties. Maybe we'll get to that. That's interesting,
But in fact, Anthony, most times the political manifestos of all the parties are almost the same.
See that? You see that? Aha. So let's bring in the man, GS Camo. Mr. Camo, you are live.
Yeah. Good evening, and thanks to your panel. I'm sorry that I don't want to drop off because Mr. Eastman and the last caller just made my point, So,
Okay.
But I would just like to brother Finance and brother Kufa that one time I remember watching him on the show, he was accused of being a member of the CDC. So
yeah, he was.
All the I think if you are part of the CDC manifesto, what he gives them all of these ideas that he's saying now, because I like the brother, he put the numbers to make the research and everything, but I don't know. Did he deceive the Liberian people because at the time they wanted to be in power, and then after they got elected, and then they screw me off because that's the same thing that other people are doing. They come, they stop all the strictness, and you hire them, and then later on they say to do their own thing, and nothing is wrong with it, and nobody say anything, and you got to wait for another 6 years, 9 years, or 12 years. So did he receive the Liberian people, and the same thing he's doing now, or all the good ideas that he gave to the CDC at the time, because I heard he was a staunch member of that party and it seems of power. Now he's breaking up to say he's running, or is he an undercover agent for the CDC
And
right
get
now?
and guess what? He helped to establish the ANC as well, and he's not there. He's bashing them.
Yeah, because he
Then
thinks that he back Tony always. I heard he really backing Weir. So that's why I'm asking if he's undercover or is the same strategy that he's using.
or a kind of double agent.
Yeah.
All right.
Go through then.
Thank you.
That's my point. But
Thank you.
thanks to Mr. Harper. That Mr. Harper asked
Yeah.
a question. True, I mean, he made some points about the advances that they have to go and hungry.
Thank you.
So they will come and pretend and do other things. So thank you, and I'm listening and waiting for the answer from Brother Ben.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, Anthony, please, I have to respond. I want to respond to the first guy who called. I mean, the last guy who called. There's something the wise people say. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. He talked about town halls. This man, there's a full knowledge. All of us on this show know that the legislature in Liberia is broken. And he's talking about town hall. He's talking about ideology. It's good to be aspirational, but it's also good to have effective solutions to existing problems. You talk about ideology in Liberia. I mean, I don't know if some people understand what is ideology. I don't know that. But you talk about town hall. Let me tell you why what he said is very important. Since about 2 weeks ago, I have been screaming. Last year, we had the biggest budget ever in the history of Liberia, a little over 800 million. Not a single lawmaker has published an annual report. Not a single one. And this guy is talking about town halls. I mean, are we kidding, or we want solutions to the problem Liberians are facing? You're talking things that just won't happen. The leader has to be decisive. Number two, this the last individual who called my good friend, tell him I also love him too. But let me reference Angola. The president of Angola right now, Google it, do your research. He was the third man in the Angolan party at the time of Dos Santos. But see what happened. He's prosecuting Dos Santos. Dos Santos just died, his daughter, and the same government that he was a part of. You see, all of us, we are not beholden to individuals. I think that's why people like me should be held in high esteem, because we are beholden to the ideas of a better Liberia. We join this organization not because it is fanfare. We join with the intent of, how can I not be a spectator? How can I contribute toward the betterment of Liberia? It's easy to sit on the sidelines. It's hard to do the work. So for me, anything that is geared towards improvement in Liberia, I want to be part of it because I want to positively impact it. And let me say the last thing here. I resigned from CDC based on policy differences. When CDC, up to the election, one of our mantra was we wanted a forensic audit of the Unity Party government. Audit is not a cuss word. Audit is a good thing. It establishes a benchmark in terms of where we're starting from. George Weah said he wanted peace. I don't think audit is a curse word. So we parted ways. I think we are principled because we want to do what is right. Today, even we can stand and say what George Weah is doing is wrong. We should be commended for standing as men and women of integrity. Some of my friends, they serve in this administration. They call me daily. They know what's going on is wrong. They don't have the fortitude to look at this government and say, you guys have failed. The CDC government has failed. The CDC government has no basis, to demand re-election from Liberia. We need a new way. You see, Liberians, for us to move forward, we must be men and women of integrity. We must be able to look in the faces of our friends and tell them they are wrong when they are wrong. The government went around.
And why you left the ANC?
The ANC was an association because, let me tell you this, The ANC was birthed through the CDC. Maybe people don't know this. CDC went for a convention in Tottenham. At that time, Gould was the one we wanted to be chairman. George Weah came with the same George Solo. George Weah imposed George Solo. And that was what we said, no. You see, we are men. We want internal democracy. We say, let people go to the convention and vote for who their chairman should be. George Weah imposed this guy. We said, no, that's why we left. We don't want things to be only external. We want the processes to work internally. That's how the ANC broke away from the CDC. So we were standing up for the things that are right.
No, the question is, you are not with this ANC now, you're running independent. Why are you not with the ANC now?
Where do you stand? That's what I wanted to ask.
No. It's not where do you stand. It's what is in the interest of Liberia. I stand with Liberia. I don't stand with individual. I don't stand with organization. I stand with Liberia. That's my interest.
In terms of political affiliation.
In terms of improvement of the lives of the people, I don't stand with no party.
You said you left the CDC because of policy differences.
Yes.
You have to establish the ANC and you are not there. The reason for leaving the ANC is what I'm asking.
Reason that what happened, what I disassociated from them was the arrival of Alexander Cummings. I thought it was unprofessional. I thought it was even insulting.
You don't like Cummings?
No, it's not I don't like him. I thought it was unprofessional because Cummings came to a party that was already formed and literally tried to muscle the way through. You see, we believe in democracy.
Is that what happened? He muscled his way?
That's what my interpretation of what happened was.
What when you come to did he use? Physical muscle, natural muscle, financial muscle? What kind of muscle did he use?
He used his financial muscle. When you come to an organization, subject yourself to the processes and go through the process. You see, I am not for anything that is on principle. We stand on the things that are right. Subject yourself. I mean, the last thing I want to say, all of us on this show, Cummings held a democratic convention in which he was the only candidate. How do you call that democracy? How do you call that democracy?
It is democracy. Ben, there's white ballot in democracy too.
How is it democracy? He's the only candidate.
I have voted in election where I pick the ballot box and I see just a Cuban. And
that's what I'm saying. So that for me is not a democracy because it should be a competitive process.
But it was not always competitive, Ben.
Ben, if I may ask you, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
Do you foresee yourself? I see perhaps you want to be a presidential aspirant. Do you foresee yourself joining any political party in the future or forming your own party?
I don't think Liberia right now need what I call a party structure. We need a people's movement. Most of the existing parties, their frameworks are non-existent. Let me tell you one thing. Every major organization should have something called grievance committee. They don't have framework. It's mostly built around the individual. The party should be built around a framework. No individual should be bigger than the party. The party should be bigger than the individual. And that's what I see now, and that's why I don't want to be part of it no more.
All right, gentlemen, time is fast spent. I think we have done a little more justice to the topic, and folks who are just joining us, something I want to say, Focus on Liberia has observed that our Facebook is not sending notification to our followers and our subscribers. So as a result, our viewership has dropped significantly. So we will ask you, if you are watching any of our show going forward while we're in the process of correcting that, if you are watching our show, please share it. Usually, most of you will get notification and will come to your Facebook, say Focus on Liberia is live. We ourselves don't even get it anymore. And that is impacting our viewership. And we just want to ask for your help during this period while we correct that. It's technology. Sometimes it fails and is impacting our viewership. We just want to make that clear. And so, folks, we want to say thank you, and thank you so very much for staying with us throughout this broadcast. We want to remind you that our mission to expand our operations in Liberia remains on course. We are soliciting $10, $20, just about any amount you can afford. We want to expand our operation this election year in Liberia. Yeah, us here discussing the topic. Why should we be doing this election year? Focus on Liberia, saying we want to be in the contest to bring you the information. So we need your help. Whatever you can chip in with, we would appreciate that. And if you want to contribute, if you're looking at Sterling Tax Speedo, the way to contribute is there. We have our both Zelle and Cash app, single number for both option 651 It's on the screen, as you can see. It's in the scrolling text below as well. We will appreciate any general donation. Gentlemen, I think we've done justice to the topic. We will get closing comment. Mr. Hoggard, anything you want to say for the closing of the show?
Well, let me first of all thank you, Anthony, for the invite to be a part of this program. And I think it was wonderful meeting Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fania, CDC/ANC breakaway. Someone who I think has some very good ideas about the leadership of our country. But whether he can see those ideas coming to fruition, whether he can, encourage and get the people to support him in his ideas, will be another thing. But I like to say that to our people in Liberia, to our Liberians, it's very crucial, very, very important for you to open, like we say back home, to shine your eyes in these coming elections in October. I know a lot of you complain that you're not having it good anyway, maybe for the past 5 going to 6 years. You think there needs to be a change. So it's better that you shine your eyes. Sometimes you people say it's better to be with the devil you know than the angel you don't. But sometimes too, it's good to shine your eyes and make sure, like I say, the people who want to get in power are people who are seeking jobs. You are the ones who will be employing them. Make sure that you employ the right people to do your job. Make sure you employ the right people with integrity. Make sure you employ the right people who will be able to lift Liberia up from where we are. We've gone several years back. I mean, it's so disheartening to know that. We've gone several years back. We need to bring Liberia up to par with our neighbors just in West Africa. We need to. So I beg you, shine your eyes. Don't let the bag of rice scare you. Don't let $10, $25 scare you. I mean, it wouldn't last for long. You eat that bag of rice, you eat the $10. The next thing they start doing the same old things to you and keeping you down. So this 2023, let's make the difference. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Benjamin Kofafania, you're closing, sir.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is I want to encourage the leadership of the parties in Liberia, as well as vested individuals, people who play leadership roles, to start discussing the issues. Not only discussing the issue, providing solutions. The goal of this show, which I like very much, is that we are doing our little bit as we can to ensure that the voters in Liberia this year make informed decisions. That task is managed 99% of the time by the leadership. We want to see people discussing food insecurity. We want to also see them offering solution or alternatives to what's happening right now. We want to see people discussing youth unemployment. We want to see them also discussing solutions. We want to see them discussing healthcare. This is what I want to close with. This is the USAID report. It was in June of last year. Let me just read what it says, and this is why we close. The average price of rice in Liberia last year increased by 8%. Fuel increased by 42%. 38.9% of Liberians are undernourished. 45% of death of children under 5 years old is due to malnutrition. Our people are dying. This is USAID report from last year. So these are data. We're talking about problems affecting our people. If we aspire to leadership, we must be discussing as well as proposing solutions to those problems. And with all of that, the voters will go to the polls choosing somebody who has actionable and practical ideas in comparison to people who want to make noise and pull crowd. The election of this year is key because the future of Liberia is at stake. Our children and their children must inherit a better Liberia. I thank you, Anthony. I thank you, Mr. Hogarth. It has been good tonight. I would think I will send you a Facebook request so you can know who I am. And I look forward to many future engagement with you. Thank you, Anthony, and thank you to every Liberian hearing the sound of my voice. I'm happy to be here tonight, and just thank you.
Ben, thank you. Mr. Hugger, I can't say thank you enough for co-hosting. I think we had a substantive discussion. We can only hope that all Liberians, all political actors will now leave the fries and the G's and come to something substantive. Because election year is the time most citizens try to pay attention. So it presents a good opportunity for all of us to be able to pay attention. The issue that the voters have on their minds, this is the opportunity then for them to ask the question, are you somebody who wants to see decentralization? Do you hope to, or do you want to vote your city mayor? Do you want to vote your superintendent? You want to have that power to do so. So this is the time for you to ask those who are running, even including your senators and representatives. They can help to make that happen. Ask them the question, are you somebody who is appalled by this cultural practice of, female genital mutilation? This is about time you put that on the table. Are you somebody who is concerned about the election process? This is the time you ask your political leader. This is the time you ask your political party. So many issues. Are you concerned about the price of basic commodities in the country? This is the time to demand answers from the leaders how they're going to solve this problem. The issue of food insecurity in Liberia. The candidates, they are telling you that they are the ones who have the manja wine. This is time now they should tell you how they're going to solve this problem. And then the roads, the agriculture, the education, and all of that. This is the opportunity we have as a people to demand answers from these people and put them on record so that when they don't do it, you now will be in a better position to say, I asked you and you said this and you are doing the other, and you can fire them. On that note, we will come to the end of yet another edition of our program here at Focus on Liberia, where we always try to educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. The song that says we are all Liberians is closing the broadcast right now. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you another time.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.